Hey, hello, hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to do my best to project my voice and connect with you today. You can tell I'm fighting a cold, and it's been a really challenging week and a half, and I will tell you here shortly. Um, well, I'll start with that. So, tragically, we lost our baby brother. Patrick Jeffrey Rohr is one of the sweetest human beings you'll ever meet, somebody that is truly authentic, truly loves unconditionally, does not judge. He would, and my sister said it best in she wrote the obituary for my dear brother. She said he would make a stranger feel like a friend, which sums him up perfectly. His laugh, his smile, I can picture him. There's so many good memories, and that's what I'm really trying to hold on to, because otherwise it's so heartbreaking. We tragically lost him. If you look it up in the news, you'll see we're still trying to uncover the details, and that gives me closure. I think all of us, what I've found with this is we all grieve so differently. I think my mom, myself, and my baby sister were all kind of similar, where we just had these task oriented things to do to try to get, planning the memorial, the funeral. My parents definitely had a lot on their plate with that, and all of us just trying to really create a special celebration of life for him. So I think we all dove in that way. And then I know I would let the tears come up if they came up, but my grieving really didn't start till after we buried him just 2 days ago when I was by myself. I just really let out those cries, and a lot of cries too when I finally got to see his body. Thank goodness it was an open casket, and I was able to touch his heart and his beard, and it was very healing for me to see him. But I noticed some of the other folks didn't want to see him that way. So I think we all grieve differently, and I think I don't know where I'm going with this, but you'll see. So why don't I first start, because I know a lot of you are going to want to know, well, how did he die? There's a lot of questions with that, and for me, that was my first thought. I broke down when I got the news from my dad, but then when I heard it was tragic, I thought, that was what kind of kept my mind away from the hurt and the sadness, because I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, well, what do you mean he was shot? So for those of you, and I'll put some links so you can see a little bit more about his story too. And my beautiful sister Emily is going to do a tribute to him, and I'll put that in the link too, because I think that's going to be really special. And I don't have the energy in me to do that. My editing skills are not quite like hers, so I'm going to let her really put something special, and then I'm just going to share more in the process of grieving. So if any of you out there have lost a child, a spouse, a loved one, friend, family member, you know what it's like to go through the grieving process, or maybe you're hurting for a loved one as well, because I know a lot of the folks that have been supporting us never even knew my little brother or even us as a family, but they could just put themselves in our place. Like that empathy that they had, they all were so supportive, just saying, wow, I didn't know Patrick. I don't necessarily know your family, but what a tough story. And, we hope that these words of comfort can give you peace. So I just feel all the love and the support. It's amazing. And I will still kind of go through my morning meditations, because you know me on the Elle Daily, I like to sum up what I've read this morning. And this is the first morning that I've really dove into my morning meditations again. I'm finally trying to get back on routine. But I thought I don't want to go right back without sharing Patrick's story. So here we are. So hopefully, you can resonate with this, and maybe you can put it into your own situation if you've gone through a loss, or just, supporting somebody else too that's going through a loss. So, like I said, I'm at the end of this, or when you go into the contents of the YouTube, I'll put Patrick's GoFundMe, his obituary, and then my sister's YouTube. I think she's probably working on it now. I don't know. It might be a couple days before that video is done, but I'll make sure to put that in the link too if you're curious about who Patrick Jeffrey Rohr is. And her obituary says it very well. So, how did he die? I actually thought too, for the quote of the day, I wanted to pull the date that he had passed and see if it really resonated with me. And it did. So I'll read that in a second. But January 8th, it was a Monday night. He had just gotten back from a work day. He got a brand new job. It was his first week on the job, doing some training in a small town, Cloquet, Minnesota. Was at the hotel and just finished dinner in his car. And long story short, there was a shooter, and I want to talk a little bit about that too in a moment, because I feel that I've already had to forgive that shooter, because you think hurt people hurt people. Only somebody hurt would do such a tragic thing. But the shooter, we don't know the full story, other than, he was there for work as well. And it sounds like he was at the hotel quite often. The hotel owner had nothing but good things to say about him, or said we never had problems with him. And I look at it and I think, oh, how horrible to be the shooter's family to get the news that your loved one has passed or shot themselves, but took two others along the way. So when I look at the loss of my brother, it's heartbreaking. But I also look at the loss for their family and I think, oh, how heartbreaking. So where I want to go, I want to focus more on my brother, but part of that forgiveness and being able to let go of that has probably helped me too, because I don't want to stay angry. I have a lot of questions. I'm wondering why, and I'm wondering what the heck was he thinking, and why did he have to pick up my sweet baby brother and this other dear 22-year-old girl who worked at the hotel. So I'm rambling, but I'm going to just sum it up with, within about 10 minutes, this shooter had killed a 22-year-old innocent girl that worked there, then shot my brother in his car in the head. He did die instantly, which gives me a little bit of comfort. So that second bullet he wouldn't have felt. He probably didn't even feel the first bullet, is what the medical examiner said, which gives me some support, or comfort, I should say. And then the shooter, after he shot my brother, shot himself. And so that is the story, and it's tragic, and it makes me think, what the heck, and we hear about these all the time, but when it hits you or hits you at home, it's feels a little surreal and shocking. And so it's like, where do you go from there? There's a lot of healing involved, and it's just tough to say goodbye to anyone at any time. But when it's such a tragic event, I think that's what even hits me harder. Just wanted to be there to hug them. I think this is the first time I can actually talk about it without crying, where it's like each day seems to get a little bit better, but I know it's going to be ebb and flow, especially as we get to his year date of passing, or even during the holidays and his birthday. And you all know what it's like if you've lost somebody, so I don't need to explain that. But where I'm going with this is just, I really want to focus on who he is as a person, those special memories, and what's getting me through now. I think like after Wednesday night, I did a lot of crying, and I finally was able to get in this place where I feel like, you know what, my baby brother is in a better place, and he is my new guardian angel. So we all grieve differently. So depending on where you are with the loss of your loved one, or whatever situation you're going through when it comes to grieving, allow yourself to think about the positives as much as you can. If you're not spiritual, you're probably not on this channel, but if you are spiritual, I think it helps a lot, at least for me, because I can picture him in heaven. And that's what I'm doing best, of just picturing him being a guardian angel to at least all of his immediate loved ones, but to any of us, because he had just such a big-hearted soul. And I think that's what gives me peace. So some of the cards I've been trying to surrender is surrendering a bit of the fear. Like, I had this fear of letting him go. I did not want to say goodbye. So it wasn't until I saw his body that I was really able to deal with the emotions. I'm like, I just don't want to say goodbye. And I think it was so helpful to be able to let him go and to see his body. And the hardest part was to watch my parents grieve him, especially, parents, to say goodbye to a child. I can't imagine. I'm not a parent. If you're a parent, you understand that love you have for a child. So watching my mom say goodbye and her mama bear cry, like a cry I've never heard her cry before, was just heartbreaking itself, because I feel the grief and the loss for my parents. And they spent a lot of time with him, because he would come to my parents too. So it's like, the grief that you have as a parent is tough, especially when you spend more time with them. So then what I thought too is like, okay, it's been a week and a half. I know I want to allow myself to grieve, but I also have to try to surrender this procrastination, like coming back on to my daily messages or getting back to work. I'm going to start back next week for sure, but I just haven't been able to deal with the real world yet. So I'm trying to surrender a bit to that, and just know that things are going to be okay. We're going to get back to life, and we can still celebrate his memory. But there's just days I wake up and I'm like, how is this my new norm? Is this my new norm where I'm going to think about him all the time? And there's this guilt where I'm like, why didn't I think about him like this when he was alive? Like, we don't celebrate people when they're here on this present plane. It's like it almost takes losing them. And that's where I want to start. It's really interesting. The card that I pulled with the Soul Healing Waters book was really, really healing for me, because it was thank you. That's what I pulled. I pulled 3 today because I really wanted to read a lot about the healing words, because that's just what I'm needing. But I want to read this to you because I think it's really amazing, where it talks about being grateful for the people in our life right now. So here you go. Gratitude. Appreciate what's sustaining you. So water is life. Whether there's water, or wherever there's water, there's life. It's the ultimate blessing. It's the thing that sustains us the most. Life isn't possible without it, and yet most of us take water for granted. So you'll see it's kind of this is a bit of an oxymoron. You're going to see where this is going. In our busy modern world, it's easy to become disconnected from the truly sacred things that are supporting and sustaining us, to take the simple things and the people closest to us for granted, assuming that they'll always be there. Sometimes it takes the threat of going without something for us to realize it's even there, to truly appreciate what we believe we could not go without. So this is like what really stuck to me, was thinking, oh my goodness, like now that he's officially gone, I'm like, oh, how do we move on without him? And why didn't I feel this way when he was here? It's like we take people for granted. So this is something that I really want to get the message out of. If you have those loved ones that are near and dear to you, don't take them for granted. Let them know how much you love them. When you think about them, call them, reach out, text. And I just think there was that guilt for me that I felt like, oh, I thought about him a lot and I didn't call him. And, of course, don't let the guilt get in the way, but move forward for the people that are here, to celebrate them and thank them. So this card is an invitation to reflect on and appreciate the things that support and sustain us most. So from water to loved ones. So absolutely loved ones is what stuck with me here. What are you most grateful for? Who are you most appreciative of? How are you being called to offer thanks? How can you honor the things that hold you most? When we open our eyes to what's truly holding us, the way we look at our life changes. And the more we give thanks, the more abundance we realize is there. The more we honor those who give to us, the more connected to life we feel. And offering thanks is a way of giving back too. When we acknowledge the support that we have in our lives already, we're more easily able to see the sacred that's woven through it all. So the soul question is, what are you most thankful for in your life? And what have you overlooked? So yeah, I definitely overlooked my baby brother. I'll tell you that. He's just, like I said, a heart of gold, and lit up a room, and I am sure going to miss him. And I just wish I would have focused on how much I loved him even when he was here. I knew it, but until people are taken away from you, you don't realize it. And so I think the one message I want to get across is, if you feel you are taking somebody for granted, switch it, be grateful, thank them, let them know what you love about them, and share those things. The other cool thing that I pulled from my angel cards was all about clairvoyance. And clairvoyance is the ability to connect with people that have passed. So if you've lost somebody that you love, look for your signs. Like I just saw my brother's exact make, model, color of his truck as the day that I was driving up to the funeral, parked on the side of the road. I was going to pick up something from a dear friend at the YMCA, and there his car was. So it was just like, he was kind of speaking to me like, I'm okay. I'm fine, sister. And there's a lot of other little bits that I've seen Patrick along the way. So whoever you're missing says, I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. So if you have lost a loved one, know that they are sending you love from heaven above. Or if you don't believe in heaven, maybe just the spiritual realm, look for signs and messages. If you see a red, not red robin, you guys see this, my brain has been so slow. So this is another reason I thought, do I even want to go online? Because I can't communicate like I normally do. It's just like, there's been so much emotion and so much going on that it's just hard to function. And I'm sure you know what that's like if you've lost someone. What is the red bird, guys? You know what I'm saying? There's a red bird. If you see that bird, that is usually a sign of a loved one, especially a male figure, because it's the male bird, but can be a message from any loved one. So I'm not going to redo this video just to figure out the name of the bird, but hopefully you know what is it a red robin? Red robin. Yes. Okay. I got it. See, and I'm still able to have a little love and laughter. And I know Patrick would want that. And your loved one would want that too. They want you to move on and enjoy life and continue. The other card I got was outdoors. And I love this because my little brother loved the outdoors. So he found his peace and his haven there. If you read the obituary, my sister describes that perfectly too. So it says, go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas. But for me, it's just like, just to refresh the body, the mind, and the spirit. The outdoors is so great. It is freezing here in Minnesota, but I think I could still use a good walk in the cold, brisk Minnesota air. So I'm going to do that here too. And then I got counselor, and this was kind of a sweet message to me where it says you are a natural counselor and many people benefit from your guidance and reassurance. So I thought, I had been trying to be strong during all this, and yes, I'm allowing myself to grieve too. So don't worry about that. But maybe you are a counselor. I will say I was so proud of my mom and my dad during all of this, because as much of all of us were grieving, and I know they were very strong for us and for some of the other folks that were experiencing this loss. So in whatever way you can, bring that guidance and reassurance to others, do it, because you are so needed. So sometimes getting out of ourselves helps me to heal, at least. Like, I think, yes, I wanted to grieve and be sad, but the more I could try to be strong for others, it really helped me too. And everybody's strengths really lifted me up. So, and just taking deep breaths, like when I would feel those emotions, just a nice deep breath in, let it out, to try to, fully just be in the present and to move forward to get through this grief and this loss. So every day is going to be a little different. And, if you've gone through it, you know what it's like. If you haven't gone through it, hopefully this can help you when you do have to go through it. The other thing that I had thought about and reflected on today was forgiveness. I talked a little bit about that. And, forgiving for me has really helped, letting go of what the shooter has done. I also got healing. It's crazy. I'm not going to read all this because it's a lot, and I'm already almost 20 minutes in. So, but the only other thing I wanted to share was for the chakra healing, I got crystalline. And the reason I love crystalline, it's like that is the most reflective light of all. It's that rainbow, and it's a sign that I just think, I know that Patrick is up in heaven, shining his love and light. And if you're not one that believes in heaven, that's okay too. Know that your loved one, whoever you're missing, is just close by, and you can always speak to them. You always have them. You can always hold on to their memory. I know that's what's going to keep me going forward. And the last thing, oh my gosh. So I love what my mom said about Patrick. It's his essence that she loved. So you know what I had for the soul journey? I love to pull the soul journey cards, the book here, Soul Coaching. And so I pulled essence because I wanted to describe what my mom was describing about my baby brother. And maybe this will resonate with you too, of the person that you've lost, that you're grieving. So here you go. Find your essence. And you could say, find your loved one's essence, right? Simplify and contemplate in the Zen garden of your mind. Discover the stillness in the center of the cyclone. So I feel like when you lose someone, there is just a cyclone of mess going through your mind, your emotions, your heart. Everything hurts. So discover the stillness in the center of the cyclone. Do what's important and let go of the rest. So for me, that is what I had to do. I had to just focus on what was ahead of me to try to get it done. And then I could, really focus on what was important and needing to get done. And then once all of this, the funeral and everything was done, then I felt like I really was able to let go. But let's get back to essence. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So your soul wants you to know, peel away everything that isn't truly you and let your essence shine. And so that's what my baby brother Patrick was so good about. He truly let his essence shine. He was one of those that didn't try to stick with the norm. He would try to go outside the box a bit. And just, that's what made him so special. So peel away everything that isn't truly you and let your essence shine. If you've ever watched a cut crystal hanging, so that's where I was like, wow, they're all connecting. So if you've ever watched a cut crystal hanging in a window in the sun, you'll remember seeing small rainbows around the room, yet they all emanate from the same source. You have different parts that comprise your identity, yet beneath it all is your spiritual core. Take time to find your source and live from your center. If something doesn't give you joy, don't do it. And that's one thing I loved about Patrick's essence. He just did what he loved. He wasn't going to do something he didn't enjoy. Um, yeah, if something doesn't give you joy, don't do it, or find a way to make it pleasurable. Don't try to expand your personal power intent without first exploring and understanding the wisdom of your soul. So, in my essence, I am joy. And I definitely know the way my mom explained his essence is just, who he was, what made him. And he is just pure joy, love, and light. So, yeah, allow your essence to shine. I think that's my message there. And whoever you're missing, your loved one, what is it, their essence that you loved about them? And then the final bit that I want to sum up today, and hopefully my next messages will make more sense. My head is still foggy. I'm just, yeah. I want to read from January 8th. It says, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And so, you know what? I love this because I do feel like, yes, he died January 8th around 6 p.m. ish. We don't know the exact time yet. But I just know that even though he was gone at that very split second, he absolutely rose again or went straight to heaven in my mind. And that's what gives me hope. And that's what I'm going to hold on to. And know, again, we all grieve differently. We all believe different things. So whatever it is that you need to kind of get you through the loss and the grieving, do it, because this just gave me a little bit of hope. It's like, yep, he is in good hands now. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And then the affirmations for January 8th when he passed was, I say what I mean, but I don't say it mean. I say what I mean, but I don't say it mean. I value being kind over being right. That was the other thing with Patrick, is he was very authentic and would say what he would mean, but he would try to say it with love. I mean, there were a couple times him and I would get in some debates. Luckily, politically, we were pretty connected on the same levels when it came to religion, spiritual, and politics. So not a lot of times that we wouldn't get along or, have a good debate. It was usually, I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to just end it there because all I want to say is that, yeah, I think, I say what I mean, but I don't say it mean. That also spoke to me when I was thinking how mad I felt about his life, angry I was feeling about the way he was taken. So I wanted to say things meanly, but I was like, nope, because the family's hurting too that lost him, and only hurt people hurt people. I know that sounds like some people might think, what are you talking about, Ellen? Your brother was shot and murdered basically. And he was, but I don't know. I'm not going to hold anger. It just helps me to let it go and just celebrate my sweet baby brother. Oh, so anyways, this was an interesting message. We'll see if I share it. I think it's important to, me, I don't like to edit, and I don't like to, I sometimes just talk off the cuff. So hopefully it makes sense and you find some healing if you're grieving the loss of someone too. All right. Sending you all so much love.